So the Maduro government has hit back at Trinidad. What is happening here is that it's escalating into a war of words, and we hope that's all it is and nothing more. You know what would have triggered the response from Venezuela now, where Maduro is rejecting unjustified claims made by Trinidad and Tobago, and so you know what triggered that yesterday. Let's play back a piece of this clip from yesterday. What triggered this?
Fact is that as a responsible government, we have to take all threats against any incursion into our territory seriously. I will speak to Minister of Defense and Attorney General to seek advice on protections for our Coast Guard, to use deadly force on any unidentified vessel entering TT waters from Venezuela.
That triggered a response from Venezuela, and Venezuela is calling the Trinidadian reaction to criminal entry complaint unjustified. A lot of persons are thinking that this could have been done diplomatically. So Venezuela makes a claim to say that people with cache of weapons entered Venezuela via Trinidad, and people are saying, "Look, why didn't Trinidad call Venezuela, talk about it, find out what the real details on the matter is?" And they're saying it is sounding as if there's not really much details in Port of Spain to react to right now. But when the Venezuelan government makes a claim or makes a threat that they will go wherever they have to go to hunt down these people, then Trinidad must defend itself. That is actually a threat. It is a threat. People say it's not a threat. It is a threat, right? So Trinidad will have to respond in kind. But behind the scenes, there has to be some diplomatic maneuvering going on. But we haven't heard of any yet. But let's see what Venezuela is saying. The foreign ministry described unjustified and, of course, reaction to the complaint about the entry of criminals into Venezuela from Trinidad and territory. And they said previously on June 2nd, Venezuelan authorities captured a group of terrorists in the eastern part of the country as they were bringing weapons from Trinidad and Tobago. The situation was denounced by President Nicolas Maduro, who strongly rejected what he called a renewed attempt by the far right oligarchy to destabilize his country. Remember yesterday, Prime Minister Bessasser said that she did not have details to verify such claim that they were actually coming from Trinidad or bringing weapons from Trinidad. On Thursday, Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Kamala Persad Bessasser said she would consider using lethal force against unidentified Venezuelan vessels and advised Venezuelan migrants residing in Trinidad and Tobago to return to their country. Statements such as those were rejected by Trinidad. Of course, you would have heard over the years that there are a number of Venezuelans living in Trinidad. You've seen shows like the Ian Allen show where people would say that these people are causing mayhem, they're committing a lot of crime, ganging up with people in Trinidad and causing more problems. And now the government yesterday said, look, we'll be looking at this because if you're threatening Trinidad, where your people are, we'll have to look at getting your people back home. Basically, that's what the government is saying. So the Venezuelan Foreign Ministry statement is here. It says the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela expresses its deep astonishment in the furious and unjustified reaction of the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamala Persad Bessasser, in response to a legitimate complaint made by President Nicolas Maduro regarding the entry of criminal elements from Trinidadian territory into Venezuela. I don't think that the response by Kamala had to do with anything that Nicolas Maduro said when he said that people came over from Trinidad or were bringing weapons from Trinidad. I don't think that is the response. I think the response came because the Foreign Minister Cabello said that if they have to go into Trinidad, basically is what he said, to get who they want to get, they will do it. That is where the response came from. So I think the Venezuelans here are a bit kind of straddling the fence. All right. Venezuela has captured criminals of Trinidadian origin who have confessed their plans, testimonies that have been thoroughly substantiated with solid evidence presented by relevant authorities. That's what the Venezuelans are saying. The appropriate response to this grave situation is to offer cooperation and willingness to clarify the facts. The Prime Minister's aggressive and loud posture raises serious suspicions of complicity in the incursion and jeopardizes the corporate relations that exist between our countries in critical areas. Venezuela urges the authorities in Trinidad not to engage in geopolitical games that are foreign to the interest of our people. It reaffirms its commitment to peace, sovereignty, and mutual respect, recalling that any legitimate concern must be addressed through diplomatic channels, not through the threats or unfounded statements that only serve to fuel artificial tensions. Again, I'm going to say I understand where the Venezuela is coming from, but I also understand that if the president says something, the president team can then reach out to the prime minister's office in Trinidad and said, look, this problem is happening. We need to get a diplomatic solution. We need to sit down, we need to talk, send somebody over. That's fine. I'll send somebody over to figure out what's going on. But when your foreign minister goes off on a tangent and says that Venezuela will decide to do wherever it has to and go into which it has to get what it wants to, then that's become a problem for the other country that you're threatening is a threat and they have to respond in kind. It's in the diplomatic world, it happens all the time. So Venezuela should not have allowed Cabello to go on his own tangent and behave like this. But like I said, leave your comments in the section below, guys.